Hello, this is Lorianne Cunningham at Music Health Coach, the Health Sounds Revolution podcast, and welcome to this special edition of the Health Sounds Revolution podcast. I have with me a special guest, Dr. Simone Ravicz, and I have her on here because I really feel that our bodies, we are like our personal symphonies, and we need to fine-tune what we do to get to our top health and wellness, our well-being. What works for me might necessarily work for you. And so I like to have guests on this podcast so they can share different ways that they have found and that they are working with others, whether it be, people who are stressed or overwhelmed, or for other coaches and entrepreneurs on how they can increase their health and well-being and find success and joy through whatever it is that they're working on and that they're trying to achieve. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Simone, and then we're going to turn the time over to her, ask her some questions, and so you can get to know her even more, because I'm so excited to have her on this show. So Dr. Simone Ravicz is a brain coach, certified business and life coach, multiple international best-selling author, motivational speaker, and soon-to-be TV channel owner. Her TV channel, on which she will also have her own show, will launch in January and is called The Great Reveal: Secrets of the Mind, Body, and Spirit. That's so exciting.
Yeah,
she embraces her roles with a passion and enthusiasm that is powerful and comes across whether she is coaching, speaking publicly, hosting workshops, and even through the pages of her books. Dr. Ravicz has a PhD in clinical psychology and an MBA, which have maximized her knowledge of business and human behavior. She worked for years as a psychologist before the move to coaching, which she feels allows her to spread her inspirational impact to more people. She is fascinated by neuroscience and how it can optimize human behavior. As a coach, she uses proven brain-based techniques through business and life coaching for small business owners, entrepreneurs, and coaches. Her clients learn to make lasting transformations in their thoughts, feelings, and actions so they can achieve phenomenal business and personal success and joy. Welcome to the show, Dr. Simone. I am so excited to have you on here. You've got such a list of accomplishments, so it is quite an honor to have you on here today.
Thank you so much, Lorianne. I mean, this is definitely my pleasure to be here. And I'm really excited to be here to share whatever I can with you and your audience.
Perfect. So I'm going to start out by just asking some questions, and you can just say whatever comes to your mind, whatever it is that you want to share. So What led you on your journey to become a coach?
Well, it was the night before Christmas. I was born on the day after Christmas, actually, so birthday's coming up. But to make a long story short, I had always been fascinated by people and people watching and eavesdropping and all those things I did from the time I was about 4. My parents would take us out to dinner. I'd be sitting in a chair and I'd be leaning over, listening to this person at this table and leaning over and staring at other people. And it used to drive them nuts. But I was just so interested in learning about people and studying people. So I went into psychology, not a surprise. I deviated a bit and I did get an MBA, and I was in the corporate world for a while, but my real calling is in helping other people and serving other people. So I decided, after doing psychology for a while, I decided I wanted to reach out, as you said, to a larger audience. Unfortunately, before I was able to do that, since I was very young, I was also a major type A personality and a perfectionist. And especially when I was working in the corporate world, I was pushing myself so hard, and there was no balance in my life. It was just work, that after a while, I became very, very ill. And I was in incredible pain. I had no energy. I lost almost all of my hair. And I finally went to the doctor, who promptly threw me into the hospital. And I was there for about 3 months. And I told you, I believe yesterday, that I tried to get out of the hospital to go back to work because that was ingrained in my head, I've got to work, I've got to work, I've got to take care of this and that and this person and that person. So I actually tried to escape from the hospital 2 times.
Wow.
And they assigned a nurse to sit right next to me after that 24/7, so I couldn't leave.
Wow.
But that was a pretty grim time, and the doctors thought that they had lost me on 2 different occasions. But after that, life was still very difficult when I went home. I was still in pain and still sick. But after a while, I couldn't stand, as people say, sick and tired of being sick and tired. I really was. And so I started studying alternative methods and Western methods of healing. And I hooked up with a brain expert who was really a genius, and he was just decades ahead of his time. And so we developed a program that I followed, and I got better and better and better. I learned a lot about myself, and I learned to have self-compassion for myself, that I didn't need to be a perfectionist, and developed a lot of stress techniques to manage those type A strivings and everything. So, I would say I'm back 98% of what I used to be. And I wanted to carry that message of hope and healing to other people, and the fact that you can use a variety of techniques to get there. Now, neuroscience, I was just fascinated with from the moment I first started learning about it and researching it. Because to me, what we've discovered from neuroscience is that we have really complete freedom in our lives.
What do you mean by that?
Well, for many, many years, until maybe a decade or so, or not even that long ago, it was believed that our brains, which really determine our thoughts and feelings and behaviors, was after development in childhood, it stopped developing, and that it remained largely stagnant until, of course, about middle age, when there was that inevitable decline, right?
Right.
Just senility. But we've discovered that that's not the case, and that the brain can and does change continuously throughout our lives. And the good news is that we have control over how we want to change our brains. We can change the structure, and we can change the functioning of our brain. An example of changing the structure of our brains is people who meditate. They have larger frontal lobes, and the frontal lobes, that's the executive functioning part of the brain. So there's greater focus and concentration and attention and decision-making, planning, things of that nature. Also, there are people who meditate regularly have more gray matter and more activation in the left hemisphere, which is the positive side of the brain. So they experience more equanimity and more happiness and joy. So that's an example of how changing the structure really changes our experience. And another example that's really interesting is there's a study in which they took 2 different groups of people, and none of them had played piano before. They had one group actually physically practice playing all the scales for a number of weeks. The other group was told just to visualize playing the piano and the scales. And so they took SPECT scans of the 2 groups' brains before, and SPECT scans show kind of where the activity is going on in the brain and a lot of information. And their brains were comparable between the 2 groups before, but afterwards, it was very interesting to see that the brains who had actually played, again, there were changes in it, but those changes were also seen in the people who just visualized playing and never touched a key. Their brains had changed too, in the same way that those who had played.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. Because I teach that, visualization is so important, which is why I really encourage other coaches to use it in their practices for their clients, because our brains, they don't know the difference.
They don't know the difference. Exactly.
Doesn't know the difference. That is so great. That's really exciting. Thank you for sharing that study. So I want to go back because, you know that I'm huge with meditation and that's what I do, but it's obvious that you are too. So you said that, let's just recap really fast, because for everyone who's listening, this is why meditation is so important. Okay. So you said that it increases, like it expands the frontal lobe.
The size of the frontal lobes, right?
The size of the frontal lobe increases gray matter.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't know, what exactly is gray matter and what does it do?
Well, gray matter is really, there's white matter and there's gray matter, and gray matter is a central aspect of the brain and how it works and conveys information and communication and all of that.
Okay. All right. So I might be going out on a limb here, but as you age, and especially those who, what's the word? They experience loss of memory, and is it because their gray matter has decreased?
Gray matter is decreasing, and also the size of the hippocampus, which is the part of the brain responsible for long-term memory, starts to shrink.
Interesting.
But it doesn't need to shrink. There are things we can do to largely prevent that. One of the biggest things we can do is to exercise. There have actually been studies that show that compared, say, a group of elderly people and had them stretch for a year, do stretching exercises. The other group walked for a year. The group that walked for a year regained over 2 years of the youth of their hippocampus because it did not decrease in size. It actually grew.
Wow. So the people who stretched, did they see a difference? Oh my goodness, that's so interesting. Okay, so exercise is good for our brains.
Yes.
And meditation, the frontal lobe, the gray matter, and you said something about it. Does it increase the left side of the brain?
The left hemisphere of the brain.
Okay.
It's the more positive side, the more positive emotionally side of the brain. So you want to get activation in the left hemisphere as much as you can.
Oh, perfect. Thank you for recapping that, because I find it very fascinating, and more and more people are interested in how our brains work, and the fact that it's been proven that we can help our brains after after adolescence. I think that's great. So how else can we increase the positivity and just increase the youthfulness of our brain, I guess? Like, what are just a couple of other quick tips that we could look at?
A really good thing to do is, now this speaks to why I said that neuroscience, knowing about neuroscience, reminds me that people really have freedom over their lives, because there's a thing called neuroplasticity, and that means that basically the brain is like plastic. And it's flexible and changeable. And we have control, as I had said, over the changes in our brains. So now, to make our brains more positive, think more positively, what we do is, when we have negative thoughts, and we have a lot of negative thoughts, it's estimated up to about 80% of our thoughts in a given day are negative.
Wow.
Yeah. So when we have negative thoughts, the negative thoughts lead to emotions and to our behavior. So when we're having negative thoughts, we're all stressed out, whatever, we experience distress, we experience frustration, irritation, overwhelm, whatever. And also we engage in behaviors that aren't so healthy, like self-sabotaging behaviors, procrastination, bad habits. Those all come from the negative thinking. So when you have negative thinking, we can challenge that. because for the most part, the negative thoughts that we're thinking are coming largely from our subconscious, and they're irrational, and they're often not true about us at all. But when we were children, we may have heard things, picked up things along the way that people said. Children's brains operate at a different brain wavelength. Mm-hmm. So they just absorb everything that they hear, and it goes into the subconscious as if it were true. So all these thoughts about, if you make a mistake at work, this immediate thought like, oh, I'm such a loser, I'm an idiot, I can't do anything right. We're bombarded by those thoughts. So what you do is you take those thoughts, you look at them from a rational perspective. I can't do anything right. And you say, have I ever done anything right? And then you'll come up with examples in your mind, and you'll say, yes, oh, I did that, and I did that, and I did that. And that takes away the power of the negative thoughts and shows their irrationality. And then what you do is you keep focusing on the positives. You repeat positive events. You focus on positive feelings. You bring back positive memories and savor them. All this focus on the positivity, what it does is create new positive neural pathways in the brain. And in a cyclical way, those positive pathways generate positive thoughts, which lead to positive emotions and positive behaviors.
So keeping like a gratitude journal that you write things that you're grateful for, that's something that can help.
Yes, that definitely helps. Definitely. Gratitude is a really important part of staying and being in the positive and keeping that positive neural loop going.
Wonderful. So this brings me to, thank you for that. This brings me to my next question, because we're talking so much about neuroscience, which is just fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating.
Yes.
So you have a summit coming up, a coaching event coming up, and it's the Global Cutting Edge Coaching Event, which I am honored to be a part of, which is why I asked you to be on here. But, so how is neuroscience and its related techniques associated with why you developed the Global Cutting Edge Coaching Event?
Well, from developing my program that I have with my clients, and doing neuro coaching, the effects were so tremendous. The efficacy was just fantastic. People changed tremendously, made major transformations that lasted. And the other thing is, I teach my clients how to use the techniques so they can use them on themselves. So they're not in my office forever. They're back in their lives, and they are much better off. They're being successful, and they're joyful. And if they have days that are kind of off, they have the techniques to use to boost their moods, to improve their focus and concentration, things of that nature. So I wanted to get that information out through the telesummit about brain science, but also I use alternative techniques as well, which are also very effective. And I thought, you know what, potential clients need to know about these ways of healing. They need to know that they're available and that they can be learned. And coaches need to know what other coaches are doing that are effective, so that they can study and include those in their toolkits.
Right.
So on two fronts, I'm trying to get the information out there, the cutting edge or the alternative ways of helping people heal and thrive.
And then you're also trying to help coaches have more tools in their toolbox for their
Right.
Yeah. So what you're trying to accomplish is twofold.
It is. It's twofold.
I love that. So can you give a couple examples of like modalities or tools or people that you have on this event that you're going to be having on the event?
Well, I have had people on the event that have talked about meditation, back to meditation. Several people have talked about that and the many, many benefits of it. And the fact that you don't have to sit and do it for a half an hour a day. If you can't do that, even 5 to 10 minutes is helpful. And another person talked about tools that are called binaural beats to achieve meditation. I actually have some of those myself. And what they are, you listen to an audio with a headset, and there are beats of music. You know well about this. You should be talking about this.
No, it's totally fine.
Well, the beats are just off a little bit, and the brain fills in a third beat. And what happens is that basically your brain emulates the frequency, and so you can go into the brainwave frequency that you choose. And one that a lot of people choose for meditation is theta. It's a slower beat or frequency, and it puts you in a state similar to meditation. And what's so great about that and meditation is that you have access then to your subconscious. And that's another way of getting hold of the core negative beliefs that you have. You can access them, and you can then bring them up to your conscious level, challenge them, see that they're not true about, you, and replace them with more rational, positive thinking. So that's a whole different aspect of meditation that I hadn't mentioned before.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for mentioning that.
Other people, there's some people that are talking about EFT, emotional freedom techniques, or tapping. And that is not new, not so new. And it's actually based on centuries and centuries old or Asian approach, which is kind of looking at the energy pathways in our body, or the meridians, and thinking that when there's distress, emotional or physical distress, it's because there's a block in the energy pathways. And so when one taps on acupressure points, that's said to clear out the blockage of energy. And so if somebody comes for anxiety, they do the tapping, and the points that we use these days are around the head and the face and the collarbone under the arm. And you tap and you say words, and the anxiety just seems to melt away. And now with neuroscience, we know also why, because when we use tapping, it decreases the activity in the amygdala, which is another part of our brain, and it's largely in charge of the stress or the fight or flight response. So tapping decreases its activity, and people become more relaxed. And as you know, people can't be relaxed and anxious at the same time.
Right.
So, but tapping is phenomenal because it works on so many conditions: anxiety and depression, and even addictions, and performance enhancement, a number of different conditions, people wanting to lose weight, just a lot of different areas.
Yeah, when I remember to do it, I love it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I just have to remember to do it. You feel kind of stupid because, you're just like tapping different parts of your body, and,
It looks really odd, but it works so well.
Yes, I always feel tremendously better, like immediately after, and I feel I can move on. So wonderful.
For people who do public speaking, I think it's really invaluable if they do that. If they have anxiety about public speaking, if they do that beforehand, it's an immense help.
So that's where the performance, what was it you said? You said
performance is enhanced.
Yeah,
anxiety and stress is reduced. So you get out there, you remember what you're talking about, you're enthusiastic, you're positive, you feel much better, you do a great job.
Awesome. And it doesn't take very long either. That's something you can do just like literally within 30 seconds, just like one round and saying a few things. And
That's right. That's right.
I love it. So what we're going to have under the video, and if you're watching the video of this, or if you are listening to the audio in the show notes, we will have a link for you to go to, for everyone to go to sign up for this event that Dr. Simone is putting on. It's happening very soon. And so you want to register for that, and so that you'll get access to all of these wonderful interviews and different modalities. And so
the people that I have on the telesummit are just phenomenal. They're experts in what they do. They share a lot of tips and strategies. They're giving free offers. It's going to be an amazing event that it'll start January 23rd, actually.
Yeah, so really soon.
Yeah.
You do not want to miss it. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, it's a great lineup. And again, I'm honored. I'm a part of it too, and I'm really honored to be in it and sharing my expertise as far as music and sound is concerned.
Yeah, it's very interesting what you do.
Thank you. Thank you. But I know you have something that you would like to offer for the listeners that's a part of a set apart, from the event, and where they can also come and find out more about what you do specifically, which is very fascinating. And I'm going to go and sign up for this too. So tell everyone where they can find you and what you have for them.
Sure. The website is www.successbraincoach.com. And there is on the homepage a free assessment, Focus for Success. And it really analyzes how you're positioned for success in your life. And it's really, I've taken it and it's really right on the assessment. Yeah.
All right. So I'll have that in the show notes as well. So you can just click on it and go right and get this free assessment.
Great.
Well, Dr. Simone, it's been absolutely wonderful having you on here. And if you have like one more tip or something you'd like to leave, now is your chance.
Well, again, I would go back to the fact that we really do have this utter freedom available to us in life. And we can choose how we want to think, how we want to feel, how we want to act. It's not, enough of the blame of outside things, external circumstances and factors, because we really are in charge of our lives. And, that is a wonderful thing. We can design and lead the lives that we truly want to and that we deserve to.
I agree. I love that. We can design our lives the way that we really want and the way that we deserve. Wonderful. Well, thank you for being on the show. Again, this is Lorianne Cunningham, music health coach, and this is the Health Sounds Revolution podcast. And if you want to try meditation out for yourself, since we talked so much about it today, you can go to musichealthcoach.com/free song, and you will get a free meditation song from yours truly. So you can try it out. So we've got lots of different things for you to sign up and try today. And until next time, I will see you later. Bye.